The New York Jets are making a huge mistake with their defensive line. Let's talk about it. Hey, what's going on? I'm Matt O'Leary back with another video, and today I'll be talking about the New York Jets' plan for their defensive line and why I think it's a massive mistake. Before we get started today, I just want to mention you can follow on social media at Matt O'Leary NY. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe to the Just Jets podcast. You could also call in, leave me your questions. And we got the Patreon as well, patreon.com/Matt O'Leary NY. Also, I'm doing a giveaway with some Manscaped products. It is very easy to enter. All you have to do is follow my TikTok, which is linked down below in the description. Follow the TikTok. Send me proof that you are following, and you are entered to win. You can send me a DM on Instagram. You can send me a DM on Twitter. If you send me a screenshot of you following, you are entered to win. The giveaway is going to be, or the winner, I guess I should say, of the giveaway is going to be chosen next Thursday on June 9th, 6/9 for the Manscaped giveaway. Nice. So the Jets are making a massive mistake with their defensive line. And what do I mean by that? Well, Jeff Ulbrich says the Jets will rotate their defensive line heavily, and they will play about 30 to 35 snaps per game. Here's his words.
Now, the 30 to 35 snaps is, I think probably JFM may have had the most last year. I'm just guessing.
Yeah,
It's
probably close to it.
40 to 45. So the 30 to 35, is that ideally hard and fast rule?
Yeah, it is. It is, regardless of what style of team you're playing. Because whether they're run stopping or they're jumping out of their shoes and they're pass rushing, there's a level of fatigue that's associated with how we play. You know, we don't catch blocks, we don't read blocks. Things are on our terms, and when you play like that, and you play with your hair on fire, and you play with the energy and the strain that we demand of them, asking them to play any more than 35 snaps, I think, is detrimental to their health and to the quality of play.
No matter who the player is?
That's right. That was Joey. That was Bosa.
Yeah.
Bosa, we could all say maybe one of the best.
Are you putting out there for 30, 35 snaps?
I don't know. Lawrence Taylor?
So to put this in perspective, like last year, the Jets were a heavy rotation, and I'm not saying don't rotate at all. Like, obviously Carl Lawson's not playing 90% of your snaps. John Franklin Myers, who I like a lot, is not playing 90% of your snaps. Quinnen Williams, who I like a lot, is not playing 90% of your snaps. But what did these guys play snap percentage wise last year, and with how many snap? And we'll kind of break that down and go into what it's going to actually mean if they stick true, because with how he sounded, I mean, you guys heard it, he really seems dead set. And by the way, this is not just a Jeff Ulbrich thing, so I don't want it to be like, oh my God, Ulbrich is the problem. This is an Ulbrich and Saleh thing. So yes, I like Robert Saleh, but as I've said many times with Joe Douglas, who is someone else that I like, just because you like someone doesn't mean that you have to agree with 100% of the things that they do. And this is one of those instances where I think that Saleh and Ulbrich are being a little stubborn. I don't think it makes a ton of sense. So last year, it was John Franklin Myers on the defensive line, leading the way with 717 snaps in 16 games, which is roughly 45 snaps per game, which is 10 to 15 more snaps than they would like these guys to play. And that was 64% of the team snaps, which I think is a good number. Like, I would anticipate Carl Lawson, me personally, would say Carl Lawson, Quinnen Williams, and John Franklin Myers should be right around that 60% mark on snaps. And that would still, imply a pretty heavy rotation. Well, last year, Quinnen Williams played 613 snaps in 15 games, which is roughly 41 snaps per game, and that was at 59%. So, okay, yeah, he's just under 60. Could he get a little bit more? Yeah, probably, but that's not awful. But, like, did we really need to see almost 500 snaps of Nathan Shepard last year? 495, which is roughly 29 per game, so a little bit less. So we're going to see potentially more Nathan Shepard, which was 30% of the snaps on the season. Now, if you were to break it down by just if these guys were to play on average 30% of snaps over a 17-game season, or 35 snaps, over a full 17-game season, what would that look like at year end with how many, the percentage of snaps that these guys are playing? So 30% on the low end would be roughly 43% of your team's snaps on the defensive side of the ball, which is just not enough. I don't, if we're living in a world where Quinnen Williams and Carl Lawson and John Franklin Myers are only playing 43% of your snaps, that, with as deep as the Jets defensive line is, I don't want to see that. I don't. Or even 35, like best case scenario on the high end, 35. That would get you about roughly 50%. So you're saying to me that the best case scenario for this Jets defense is at best Carl Lawson playing 50%, at best Quinnen Williams playing 50%, at best John Franklin Myers playing 50%. How are you going to give Quinnen Williams $18 million a year or whatever it's going to cost to extend him if he's only playing half your team's snaps? And again, like, I'm not saying 90% snaps. That's unrealistic. But in the mid 60s, maybe 70% on some weeks it's up high there. But 50? Like, in what world should we be seeing roughly Nathan Shepard the same amount of time that we're seeing Quinnen Williams? I don't get it. Or Vinny Curry and Martin and Huff. Like, I like those guys as depth. Michael Clemens is another example. If, with added into that group, they have a lot of guys. Solomon Thomas. Maybe they bring in Larry Ogunjobi. They have Sheldon Rankins, who they brought back. Like, obviously, this team has a lot of guys that they can rotate. And I'm not anti-rotating. I'm just anti-doing it that much. I don't think you are helping yourself if you're taking Carl Lawson, who you paid $15 million a year, who was arguably a top 10 edge in 2020, then gets hurt, but looked like he was going to be a stud in 2021. And sure, work him in slow. Okay, I get that. But 50%? And then John Franklin Myers, who you paid a big contract, who is a very versatile rusher, can be inside, could be outside. He's going to play 50%, or your former third overall pick that's doing a new contract, like, who's going to get #paid, is going to play 50% of your snaps, the same amount as Nathan Shepard, who was a Mike McCagnon holdover guy. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. I'm sorry. I don't get this one. And how many times last year did it feel like the Jets were burned when their B defensive line was out there? Like, they were almost too stubborn to the rotation and would do it almost too much, like, at once. Like, it's okay to mix and match your defensive line, but like, if there's ever a third down and Carl Lawson and Quinnen Williams and John Franklin Myers, like, all three of those guys aren't on the field, like, okay, maybe, mix in one or two, fine. But if all three are out at the same time, those are your three best defensive linemen. Just poof, gone in a big spot. I don't know. I think it's being overly stubborn. You guys let me know what your takeaway here is. Do you think it's just being overly stubborn? Do you think the Jets should really rotate that much? And like, again, I understand he wants to keep the guys fresh. It's important to keep these guys fresh, but I just think the percentage or the hard set rule on 30 to 35, if they really do stick to that, I think it's going to come back and bite them. So you guys let me know. Sound off in the comments. Get after me on social media. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Matt O'Leary, and I will talk to you next time.